Hello guys, welcome to the Russian Football News Predictions League Week 13. Another international break is over and Russia are going to Euro 2020. I don't think many of us expected them not to qualify, but I didn't think they'd do it possibly quite so early. I thought they might drop 1 or 2 points to Scotland away perhaps, or even Kazakhstan away, you never know, just could have played it safe. But no, they're through, they've won every game other than the very first game against Belgium. So, well done Russia, good stuff lads. But it means we can now focus on domestic football, which is what we all know and love, right? I personally love international break as much as club football, but anyway, who cares? On we go. Now, we do have a Friday game. I apologise for the late posting of this video, but I have a new job, I have a new schedule, I'm working late, so unfortunately it's messing with my usual routine. But anyhow, here we are. Get them in really quick, and if you know anybody else who you also played a game with, just remind them, help each other out, and really let's try and get as many as we can to join in. So, moving on, we have, like I say, on Friday night, Akhmat Grozny at home to Lokomotiv. Now, Akhmat have been struggling this season, that's no secret. They are the joint lowest scores in the league with only 8 goals, and before this match, they had failed to win in 7 games in the league. They really, really were struggling. But they did pick up a 1-0 win away to Ufa. Now that is actually a very impressive result because Ufa themselves have, before that game, had won 4 of their last 5 home games. And that includes some big teams in there. So, it's no mean feat. And now that they've broken that losing streak, or winless streak I should say, then perhaps they will be a little more confident. Lokomotiv, well, a good win, 2-1 at home to Arsenal Tula. They do have 1 or 2 injury worries that they might affect their plans a little bit. Fyodor Smolov was out for the international break and he may well be missing still. Vladislav Ignatiev and Dmitry Baranov are both suspended, but Kuchoviak comes back, their top goal scorer, in fact. Anton Miranchuk and Rifat Zhemaletdinov are most likely still going to be injured. And Benedikt Herbert is as well, but I would argue that's a benefit rather than a hindrance. So we'll see. I still think they've got enough to beat Akhmat. Yes, Akhmat have broken that winless streak, but Lokomotiv are efficient and they are the better side. So I think they're going to win. I think they'll do a Siemens classic 1-0 away from home. Moving on, we have Tambov at home to Ural Yekaterinburg. Well, the headline for this is the 2 worst defences in the league. Ural have just never been able to sort out their defensive problems. 26 goals in 12 games says it all. That's appalling for anybody. Bottom of the league, that would be poor. Tambov are bottom of the league and they're second in the worst defences record. They have 19 conceded alongside who else? Who else has conceded 19? Orenburg. So I think we're going to have goals in this one. Tambov they won their last game out at home, but they lost the last 3 or 4 before that. Last weekend, Tambov lost away to Rubin Kazan. On quality of teams, you'd say that's probably the result that should have happened, but Rubin have been struggling as well. But it's another 2 goals conceded for Tambov. For Ural, they conceded even more last time out. Zenit St. Petersburg came to town, and in their defence, Zenit are the reigning champions. They're the best side for a reason. And Ural lost 3-1, but again, it was just inevitable. The marking was terrible and the organisation was all over the place. But they did still manage to score against Zenit. They do always have a goal in them. In fact, if you take out the top 5, Ural are the next top goal scorers in the league with 18. So there's signs of promise there. I think this is going to be a fun game. I actually think we're going to see a lot of goals. I think it's going to end up level though, so I'm going to go for 2-2. Big gamble in predictions terms to go for a high scoring draw, but I just get a feeling there's going to be fun in this game, so I'm going to go for 2-2. Next up, we have Spartak Moscow at home to Rubin Kazan. Big news here, Domenico Tedesco is the new Spartak Moscow manager, but what has he walked into? Well, for a start, he's walked into the worst losing streak. 5 league games lost in a row for the first time in over 2 decades. Is he really going to be sticking around for long when he sees the utter basket case that he's taken over? Well, he does have some very talented players. You have to admit that, but he does have a few missing for this game, we must say. Georgi Jikia is suspended. That's probably one of the biggest losses. Samuel Gigo, who is, I think he even is top goal scorer, second top goal scorer at least. He's injured. Roman Zobnin is injured. Andrei Schürrle is a doubt. He's not played for a few games and his form dropped off anyway. But they are playing Rubin Kazan. Rubin don't have any new injuries or suspensions that I know of, at least. but I think there's going to be a bit of new manager bounce here. I think Spartak are going to be bouncing with having a new guy in charge whose name is not Ali Kononov. So I think they're going to win this one. Might be a bit harsh on Rubin, but last week I don't think it proves a great deal managing to beat the worst side in the league, Tambov, at home. They did break their winless streak, admittedly, but I think they're going to go back to losing. So 2-0 to Spartak is my prediction there. Then we have Zenit St. Petersburg at home to Rostov. Arguably the biggest game at the top of the table because they are both in the top 4. Like I mentioned, the top 5 are separated by 1 point. CSK Moscow are 5th on 25 points. Rostov and Zenit are both on 26. The head-to-head record is what dictates who is above whom in the event of being level on points. And that puts Rostov actually second in the table. But that's not going to matter. They are level as far as I'm concerned because we've got a long way to go in the season. Zenit, they have Wilmar Barras back from suspension, so that is going to help them. So they're effectively as they were in terms of personnel available before the winter break. So I think Zenit are going to win this one. Eldor Shemododov at Rostov, he's always got a goal in them, and they have one of the best attacking midfield and forward units in the entire league. They have a lot of experience. Alexei Ionov is on fire, but so I think they might get a goal. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Zenit. Right, moving on. Orenburg at home to Krylia Sovietov. Last weekend, Orenburg beat Dynamo Moscow 2-0. Good to get a clean sheet under their belt, and they have always performed extremely well at home this season, despite not always getting the best of results. Krylia, well, they have dragged themselves out of the relegation zone. Alexander Sobolyov, the other joint top goal scorer in the league with 10 goals, rumoured to be interested by Arsenal and Manchester United interested in him. They won 2-0 away to Sochi. That was a surprise result in my books, because although Sochi hadn't won at home, they had barely played at home, and they are on good form at the moment. So good result for Krylia. But I just think Orenburg, they've always impressed me with the way they're set up under Vladimir Fyodorov. So I think they're going to win this one. There's always a risk that Krylia will score, so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Orenburg. Next, we have Ufa at home to CSK Moscow, the Viktor Goncharenko derby, if you like. Ufa, disappointing results, if all truth is told, last weekend, losing at home to Akhmat Grozny, who struggled desperately. To be fair, Akhmat did look very good. CSK Moscow, also disappointing result, to lose at home to Rostov. Rostov a good side, yes, but you've got to be beating your near rivals, and Rostov do not have the resources or the playing quality that CSK Moscow have. So they've both got to bounce back somehow. I think CSK Moscow are going to be fine here, though. A lot of their long-term injuries are slowly filtering back into match fitness. So I'm going to go for a CSK Moscow win. I'm going to go for 1-0. I don't think it's going to be spectacular, but I think they'll do the job. Okay, we have then Arsenal Tula at home to Sochi. Well, Arsenal Tula and Sochi both lost, like I mentioned last weekend. Gio Grigalava is suspended for Arsenal, which is a problem. But Sochi, well, I do think they're in good form, but I'm slightly concerned at the fact that they lost at home last weekend. So I'm going to go for an Arsenal Tula win. But I'm not going to go for a high-scoring one, so I'm going to go for 1-0 to Arsenal. Okay, and then we have finally Dynamo Moscow at home to Krasnodar. Dynamo Moscow, well, they lost last weekend. They're second bottom in the table. They have a acting head coach, Kirill Novikov, the youth team coach. Krasnodar last weekend, very good win over Spartak Moscow. Yes, Spartak are struggling, but they still have quality players. So, what do we see happening here? Krasnodar have a lot of injuries, to be fair. Remy Kabela, Victor Klassen, Yuri Gazinski, Sinitsin, Ivan Ignatiev, Wanderson, Christian Ramirez, Kaio Pantelau. The last two are suspended. Skopincev is injured, but I still think Dynamo Moscow are a mess. So I think they are going to lose. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win for Krasnodar. Simple as that. Okay, guys, get your predictions in quick as you can and remind anybody else. Best of luck, guys, and we'll be back next week for more.